Okay, so as you know, I've had a bit of a whirlwind summer.
Yeah.
According to the internet, I am dead and Griffin had a baby.
It's like you're Paul McCartney.
I'm like, yeah, it's like I'm Paul McCartney. Neither of those things is true as far as I know.
I did see you walking barefoot across the Abbey Road. Yeah.
Well, but I did it with a sock on my dick.
If you listen to Awu backwards, you can hear Jack saying, "Geoff is dead. Geoff is dead."
So at some point this summer, I found myself in Portland, Oregon.
Wonderful Portland. I
will say this. I read something the other day. Well, today, first off, is a milestone in Austin. I'm getting off on tangents already, but today will be our 85th day over 100 degrees this year.
Fuck that.
Which destroys our previous record of like 72. Just destroys the shit out of it. And but we've had a nationwide heat wave, right? 48 out of 50 states have had significantly higher than average temperatures.
But really, I only care about Texas because that's where I am.
We only care about Texas. But the two states that have had normal or lower than average temperatures were Seattle and Oregon.
Seattle's not a state.
I'm sorry, Washington and Oregon. You name me something else in Washington that's worth a damn.
It's a state of mind.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, and so anyway, Washington and Oregon. And so I found myself in Oregon for quite a bit this summer, and I was downtown in Portland one night with my lovely wife and daughter, and we do this thing when we're in another city and it's just like the three of us and we're bored in a hotel room and, Millie's watching fucking Phineas and Ferb or whatever and we're like twiddling our thumbs. One of us will go out and go to a bar or, go to a movie or something for a couple hours and then come back and replace the other and we'll tag out, as it were.
Tag out responsibility.
Right, if this were a wrestling match. And
who gets to hit Millie with the chair?
Well, it depends on what point of the evening it is. Yeah,
makes sense.
And if she brushed her fucking teeth or not. And so we tag out, and I'm just antsy. I'm in downtown Portland, and we have a lot of friends and stuff in Portland, but we're not like hanging out with anybody that night, and we don't have anybody to watch Millie, and it's just like a fucking Wednesday. No, it's a Friday. And I'm just bored to death. So we weren't staying at a hotel of choice. So we were in an area I didn't know as well because the hotel we wanted to stay at, we booked last minute, was packed. So I'm in this area of Portland that I don't really know that well, and I'm walking around, and I end up in this bar, this really shitty. It was a cool bar. It was a McMiniman's bar, if you know.
Oh yeah,
the Pacific Northwest, you know McMiniman's.
Yeah,
it was cool bar.
Love this place.
But the people in it drove me out because they were so obnoxious and just annoying. There's people that like. You get a group of 5 or 6 people together that think they're the funniest people in the world, and every single person in the bar has to hear every lame joke,
Yeah, and then you add alcohol to that.
You add alcohol to that.
Worse.
Then they try to draw people in to it, too.
Oh,
like, hey, you just walked in the bar. We're going to be best friends. Listen to my joke. And you're like, all right, I'm going to go fucking jump in front of traffic. So that doesn't work for me. And I can't find any other bars. And there's nothing but strip clubs around. And so I'm talking to Griffin on text, and she's like, dude, go to a strip club. When was the last time you went to a strip club? And I'm like, I don't know. It's been a long time. So I thought, fuck it, I'll go to. That's something to do, right?
Yeah, they have booze there.
They do. They have booze
and boobs.
Yeah, a lot of bee stuff. And so I walk up to this fanciest strip club they have, Maitre D, dude in a tuxedo, the whole thing.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I walk into the fanciest strip club I can find. And by the way, it's like strip club city. There's like, apparently Portland has more strip clubs than anywhere else in the world or something.
Were you like in the strip club district?
I was in the strip club district. It's like a block away from the kitchen district where you go buy all your commercial kitchen supplies. and then on the other side is the like bar stool district. I make a joke about that, but I was in Philadelphia one time and there were, I was on a street that had like 4 different bar stool stores. Mm-hmm. Stores that just sold specialized in selling bar stools. Who knew that some like a mecca like that existed in a city?
There was need for more than one store,
right?
And that they all had to be located
in the country,
right next to each other.
There was need for more than one store, and they're all they all cohabitated right next to each other. Anyway, so I'm like in the strip club district, I guess, and so I picked the fanciest looking strip club. I can't remember the name. I'd love to tell you, but it's like 10 o'clock on a Friday night. And I figure it's probably fairly busy,
Right.
So I go up, and I walk up, and there's the girl at the door who checks your ID. She's behind the lectern or whatever that has the breath mints.
The lectern?
I don't know. She's going to give a speech.
I thought you were going to say she was behind bulletproof glass.
No, she's going to
fancy.
She's going to address the White House press pool. And I just stand there, and she looks at me, and she's like, ID. So I give her my ID, and she goes, all right, cool. And then we just keep standing there. And I'm waiting for her to tell me what the cover is, because it's a strip club.
Right.
So one would expect a $10 to $20 cover. And eventually, after about like 15 awkward seconds of just like looking at each other, she goes, oh, it's free. You can go in. That's a warning sign.
You should have been like, aren't you going to take your clothes off?
I
gave you my ID.
Isn't this the strip club? There's more than this? I thought it was just you and I. And so she goes, oh yeah, no, it's free. if you haven't been to a lot of strip clubs, and I'm not saying that I have, or Gus and I have together a lot in the past, that's a sign to run.
Yeah.
That's an eject right there. That is indication of quality or lack thereof.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I walk into the strip club, and there's like to the left I can see some stages and stuff, and
Wait,
then to the
so
right,
there's no cover, but there was like a maitre d'? And...
yeah, there was like a dude outside, like a bouncer type dude, making the rounds, and all very well dressed. A lot of really fancy neon outside, I mean, this is a high class establishment.
It was nothing but the noblest of gases.
Yes.
That was a little chemistry joke.
There you go. And so to the left, there's some like stripper pole sitter, the meat of the strip club, and then to the right is like a hallway.
Literally the meat of the strip club.
And at the end, I have to go to the bathroom. So I walk down to the bathroom, and I go to the bathroom, and I'm just alone in this hallway, and I'm like, this feels kind of empty. Usually there's like the guy who like sprays cologne on you and dusts the glitter off of you in the bathroom. Like that guy's not there, thank God.
The dude who shakes you down for money in exchange for paper towels.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
to dry your hands.
I'll squirt your soap for you, sir. That'll be $1. That guy is not there, thankfully. I didn't want to buy any juicy fruit gum anyway.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, so I go to the bathroom, and I come out, and then I walk into that main strip club area, and you do that instant survey. Mm-hmm. And there's like, most strip clubs have like 3 stages, right? Mm-hmm. This is one of those setups. 3 stages, big stage, medium stage, little stage, where you gradually go down until you end up working the floor. And there's nobody on the 2 medium stages. There's just one woman on the big stage, some blonde lady. And there's one customer in the strip club.
So it's you and one dude.
Me and one dude. And I'm looking at them from behind, so she's facing him, and she's giving him like the $1 dance you get when you walk up to the stage. Yeah. Except it looks like his head is in her vagina, and I can't really tell because it's from a distance. But it doesn't look like she's wearing underwear, and I go, that seems kind of weird to me.
That's service.
Yeah, so I backed out and I left. Because who wants to be the other guy in it? Like, that's the worst thing in the world, right? It would be like 2 dudes fighting for a stripper in a strip club. And they seemed to be shaking hands with genitals and faces. I mean, it was like...
They knew each other.
Yeah, they knew each other. They were intimately. And I was like, oh, that seems weird. You don't see that every day at a strip club. And I was like, probably just like, it was the angle. It looked weird or something. Mm-hmm. So I left, and I go around, and I find another normal bar it's like full of douchey people again, like a bad sports bar. So I can't hang there. So I'm walking around again. I'm telling my experience to Griffin, and she goes, that's really funny, you should try again, you should go to another strip club, that they sound interesting here. So I go, okay. So I go to this other strip club that's really close to the hotel, and it looks like kind of like a bar from the outside, like a dive bar like you and I would like.
Right.
And like a Cinebar, a Casino El Camino, one of those kind of things. And so I walk up to the door, and the girl charges me a $2 cover. So already, we're doing better.
But the only thing that's like slightly better than no cover is $2 cover.
That might be worse.
Yeah, it's like you aren't much higher on the scale at that point.
But I'm like, okay. So I walk in, and it's just a bar. It's like a long vertical room that has an actual bar immediately on the right where you would sit and talk to a bartender like a normal bar. To the left of that is a stage, like a really skinny stage with a pole.
Okay.
And to the left is just a row of chairs against the wall. And then there's like
facing the stage?
Facing the stage. Like a high school assembly almost, where like a bunch of guys like sitting in chairs next to each other, like too close, kind of touching, like way too uncomfortably close to be in a strip club, just like staring ahead at the stage. And then there's like 1 or 2 tables in front, but nobody's at the tables. I'm like, I am not sitting in the lineup with those guys. So I sit at a table. Some lady comes by. I buy a beer, and I start to drink my beer, and a stripper comes out, and she's like an overly tattooed Austin scene girl, which is fine for me. I don't know if you know this. I like tattoos. It's a little heavy. But I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. She was kind of pretty. And she does a little bit of dancing. And then somebody says something to her over on the right, and she walks over and she goes, we've got a bachelor party tonight. Somebody's about to get married. And I go, all right, well, let's see what's going on here. So she pulls this dude up on stage, and then 2 other overly tattooed strippers come out from behind a curtain.
She pulls like one of the dudes in the assembly, like in the lineup?
The bachelor.
Okay.
Up on the stage. One of them grabs a chair. They put a chair like against the pole, so he's sitting down, his like head's against the pole, and he's like, yeah, and they start like shaking in front of him, and then they all get totally naked. Like so I realized I probably did see the lady being totally naked at the other club. There was no G-string or anything. It's just like like
free for all,
a smattering of vagina suddenly.
Okay.
Between these three girls, and I'm like, that's weird, and because we don't have that in Texas, and if you do, it's like BYOB.
Yeah, BYOB.
And it's not a place you would ever want to go unless you were looking to have a kidney harvested potentially. And so I'm like, all right, this is a little weird, and then they start like dancing in front of the guy, and they're like, yeah, and then the main stripper takes his shirt, he has like a short sleeve button up shirt on, and rips it open so that the buttons go flying and like destroys the guy's shirt. And I'm like, well, that's actually kind of rude, you know? That's like his favorite
What's he gonna wear?
What's he gonna wear for the rest of the night? And they're like,
he doesn't work here. He needs clothes.
And then she straddles him at one point and sticks her vagina, her unbathing suited, unbikinied vagina,
rare vagina, in his face for like a minute. Total contact, like she's trying to kill him. Is she like a Bond villain, and like that's her murder move, is to like suffocate someone with her vagina?
It's either like that, or like her vagina needed CPR or something. I'm not sure what it was, but I was like, he does not know her well enough to be there, you know, and vice versa. It was just like watching diseases happen, you know, and you're like. And this looks. I look around, and everybody seems like totally like nonplussed. Like,
oh yeah, we're at a strip club.
We're at a strip club because you go down on a girl. Yeah. That's what happens at strip clubs, right?
If there's no lip on lip contact, you were not at a strip club.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, of course, this is the oral sex portion of the evening, right? Yeah. And I'm like, where the fuck is this going to go? Then after like a minute, she like lets him up for air,
lets him breathe. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah. And then she like takes his pants and she unbuttons his belt and rips his belt off, and then pulls his pants down so that now I'm having to look at this guy's dick.
Yeah, you're at
which is exactly what you want at a strip club.
You're at a co-ed strip club.
Yeah, I want to see this fat, doughy, naked dude. And they're like, yeah, and all the girls come over, and she takes and she like goes. I don't know how to do it without sounding like I'm hawking a loogie, but she just like spits on his penis.
Okay,
like a sexier version of that, I guess. But
spitting is.
And
so
I'm
sexy.
like, that is a lot of saliva to be putting on a strain. I'm like, that guy needs to go. He needs to go
he needs some
get
shots?
checked out right now. He needs to go from here to the penicillin shop, the penicillin district, which is 2 blocks over.
Yeah, it's close, luckily.
And I have no idea what to think at this point. Then the other 2 tattooed naked girls who were just kind of watching it, they come over and spit on him too.
Are they having strokes? Are they like drooling?
I don't know. No. So there's like, this guy's got like a penis, a ripped up shirt, a face full of like vagina, and a penis that's covered in the saliva of 3 different women. And I'm
like squirming over here.
I know. No, it's horrifying. And I'm like, how does it get worse than this? Then the lady takes his belt, she puts him on the ground on all fours, wraps the belt around like his neck, and then like rides him around the stage like a pony. And then the other girls each take turns, and then they go, yeah, woohoo, and they push him off the stage, and somebody hands them a $20 bill. And I left.
What?
They did all of that for $20. That dude's going to have to explain chlamydia.
Do you think everyone listening to this podcast from Portland or Oregon is like, yeah, you were at a strip club?
They probably know the strip club I was at. So they might have been there. The guy might be listening right now going, well, what the fuck else am I supposed to do at a strip club?
Yeah, it's a strip club.
Yeah, what was it? It's Tuesday night. What am I going to do, you know?
That's so fucking weird.
I've never seen anything like it. It was just disgusting and weird and creepy. And I realized I saw guys touch the genitals or give oral sex to 2 strippers in the same night at 2 different strip clubs in Portland. That's essentially what I saw.
Get their junk
drooled on. And all for $20.
It's like having a super enthusiastic dog.
Yeah, it's exactly what it's like. And so I didn't even finish my beer. I was just like, I gotta go. There are things that you cannot unsee in life, and that is something that I'll have to carry with me for the rest of my life.
I've never experienced anything even remotely close to that bizarre,
dude,
at a strip club.
I don't know what to say about it. Like, I had trouble processing it. I really did. It was just like, it seemed so nonchalant and normal that I guess that's just what it's like to go to a strip club in Oregon.
Wow.
So there should have been a doctor set up giving flu and tetanus shots and prescribing penicillin.
Before they pull you on stage, like, it should be required to show you like a certificate or like some kind of permission slip from the doctor.
No kidding. It's like there's a 98% chance that bodily fluids will be exchanged here. I have had an AIDS test in the last 30 days.
A One of the other bizarre parts about this story to me is, didn't you once say Oregon's a bring your own girlfriend kind of state?
What'd you say?
Didn't you once say that Oregon's a bring your own girlfriend kind of state?
Yeah.
Someone at PAX took exception to that.
Yeah, I have said that before. The girls were all very pretty.
Okay.
At the strip club, I will say that. And I have, a lot of it depends on like where you hang out, I guess. But I still stand by that statement for the most part.
For the most part.
For the most part. Yeah.
It's not the kind of state you go to and let someone drool all over your junk.
Yeah, well, maybe not upon meeting that person.
Yeah.
Maybe you go out to dinner.
Maybe after a couple dates.
That's a steak and lobster preview before you get to that. Yeah, anyway, fucked up story. I got another story I can tell you.
All right, sure.
If you want to hear another story.
Let's go for it.
This isn't as exciting, but it's something that I don't understand, and maybe you can help me out here.
Okay.
I was also while I was away, I was in San Antonio for a brief period in time.
Okay. That's not nearly as far away from Austin as Portland.
Doing some family stuff.
Okay.
And I was staying at this hotel. There's this lady that I'm in love with from Austin. Well, I don't know if she's from Austin, but her name is Liz Lambert, and she is a hotelier. I don't know if that's a word.
For some reason, I thought you said Liz Lemon. I was like, that's not a real person.
No, Liz Lambert. And
okay.
she owns the Hotel San Jose in Austin and a hotel in Marfa called El Cosmico. She makes these really cool, awesome hotels.
Okay.
And
that's a cool job.
It's a cool job, and she's very successful at it. And her brother owns the restaurant Lambert's.
How weird that they would own a restaurant that has the same name
as them. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
What are the odds?
Successful family. It's the best part about Austin is all the successful entrepreneurs in the city. So anyway, she's got a hotel in San Antonio called the Hotel Havana, and I've wanted to go there for a while because I read an article about it in the New York Times that talked about how she restored this dump of a place and how just awesome it is.
Okay.
And so we had to go to San Antonio for 4 or 5 days, 5 days, I think. And so I booked us at this place. Mm-hmm. And luckily, since no one in the world wants to go to San Antonio, it's actually a pretty cheap place to go.
Yeah, not on my list of places to
I've been
desirable places.
I have hated San Antonio for 15 years. I will say I had a great time this time. Jason of Tucker fame gave Griffin and I, he's from San Antonio. He gave us some places to eat and places to check out, and we had a blast. It was actually a lot of fun. Okay. I've never liked San Antonio before until this trip.
Yeah,
hotel's awesome. Anyway, this hotel, it has a basement bar in it that is probably the coolest place I've ever been.
Okay, it's like under the hotel?
It's under the hotel. And it's really weird because this hotel's kind of like old and like, I don't know how to describe it without making it sound... It's very, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just cool.
It's old.
Look it up. It's
okay.
old and unique looking and very awesome and very well designed. And you get into this elevator, and the elevator doesn't match the restaurant or the hotel at all. It's the walls are black patent leather,
mm-hmm.
and the ceiling is some sort of cutout like tin or brass maybe that has a red filter over it, and so that there's a very dim red light, so you can barely see in the elevator. It's just all black with like a dim red glow.
Weird.
It seems really weird and kind of creepy and almost like...
Seems like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah, out of a horror movie. But then you take it down to the basement, and then you come out at the bar, and it makes sense because that's what the bar looks like.
Okay.
And it's like a really dark, cavernous kind of bar with these little rooms. One of those places where, like, the first night I went, I met the bartender, and he introduced himself to me. He's like, "Hey, my name's Tom." And I'm like, "Oh, hi, Tom. Can I get a vodka tonic?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And the next night I went back, and he's like, "Hey, Jeff, good to see you again. You want another vodka tonic?" And you're like...
You should have asked me if his last name was Collins.
Yeah, I should have. I asked for a whiskey sour, and they couldn't make it for me there.
Oh.
I was sad about that. But, no, a vodka gimlet. I'm sorry. I asked for a gimlet, and they couldn't make a gimlet. But anyway, very nice guy, except for the gimlet thing. They just didn't have the materials.
It's cool that he remembers your drink.
It's just a good bartender.
Yeah.
That's a sign of a good bartender. That makes you feel welcome at places like that. Anyway, so this bar is really cool, and so Griffin and I would do the tag out thing. Like, she'd go for 3 hours, come back. I'd go for 3 hours. I was deep into reading Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, and it was kind of cool to sit in this dark, foreboding kind of place and read this book on my iPhone and just drink a little bit and kind of get away from everything. And so I'm in this little room, and I sit down at this chair, and there's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm against a wall, and right in front of me is another wall, and there's 2 chairs here. One, like, a chair, I'm in the right chair, and there's a chair to my left, with a little table in between, and then it's mirrored on the other side at the other wall.
Okay.
But it's really tight space. So, like, to the point where, like, if somebody was sitting in the chair across from me, we're almost touching legs.
Okay, so like, super close.
Super close. And I'm sitting there, and I'm reading Heart of Darkness. And
on your iPhone, which I think is really funny, by the way.
On my iPhone, yeah. I know. It would have been too dark to read it in book form.
Okay.
It's that dark in there. So I'm sitting there reading it, and I get the sense that somebody's next to me. And I kind of glance up, and there's this woman, indeterminate age. Maybe she could be anywhere from 28 to 35. I didn't really see her. Dark hair. Seemed fairly attractive. I couldn't really I was trying not to. I was kind of engrossed in my book, and I was trying not to pay attention to her. And she was kind of standing there next to me, and I was like, I went back to reading. I looked up after about 10 minutes, and she was still standing there, and almost seemed kind of expectantly. And I thought that was weird, and so I started to take notice of her. And she was kind of like doing that thing where you look around and pretend to be looking at stuff, but not really looking at stuff. It was kind of awkward behavior.
Like you don't know what to look at.
Yeah,
so
and like
is she
trying to not look at me, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but she was obviously there and wanting to be noticed. I thought it was strange. And anyway, it was kind of off-putting. And after a few more minutes, she was standing there for a total of maybe 12 minutes. This dude shows up, and this is I would say a typical Texas-y dude, pretty big guy, used to be really muscular, probably played football, and now he's got kind of a big gut. Wears the silk button-up shirt that's got that, like short sleeve, so it's like the second to the bottom button is struggling. You know?
A stripper in Portland could rip that shit off really easy.
Rip it off in a second, yeah. And kind of like but still like kind of a big scary looking dude, not somebody you'd want to fuck with. And they like hug and kiss and sit down and start talking. I think he goes gets drinks and come back and they start talking.
So she was looking around waiting for him.
She was. Nothing weird about it. She was looking for her boyfriend or husband or whoever. And so cool. Because I got a weird vibe, but I was like, oh, okay, well, she was just obviously waiting for her,
this dude,
her romantic encounter.
Meet.
And, and so they start having a conversation, and I'm reading my book, but we're so close, I can't help but hear them. And she's talking about Las Vegas, and he says something that I hear that I can't believe. He goes, Las Vegas, where is that? What state is that in? And he doesn't know where Las Vegas is. He doesn't really know anything about it. And this guy looks like he's probably 35,
Wow.
Maybe older, and you would think like every dude bro guy like that in the world would have been like Vegas is their mecca, especially after like the Hangover and shit.
Yeah,
Well,
I guess maybe they just think of it like as some weird like place they can never get to.
Yeah,
it's like an idea to
Shangri-La.
them. Yeah,
it's like it's
like I'd love to go if only that place really existed.
Yeah, Vegas isn't out there; it's in here.
Yeah,
but he's talking about it with he's got these dumb questions. Like I'm either like this guy's either really stupid, or he's playing really dumb to make her feel superior or smart or something, And either way, it's weird. And so now I'm kind of keyed into their conversation a little bit. But then they move on, and they're just talking about random everyday stuff or whatever. So I start ignoring him again. And I'm reading my book, and at some point I hear a noise. It's kind of a smacking sound. I look up, and they're making out, but like in a really gross way.
Did she have like her vagina on his head?
No. It was all
like
perfectly
style?
Clothed, and it was face-to-face. Yeah, but it was like, like really loud. And you're like,
and
they're
like right next to you,
like right next to me, like right in front of me. I could kick him, and I'm like, oh, gross. And so I go and I get another drink, and I come back and they've stopped, and so I start reading again. And at one point I look up, and he's flexing his right arm, and she's kissing his bicep. And I'm like, that's just fucking weird. Like, he's literally going like, here's my muscle.
That used to be my go-to move when
I
was single.
Yeah. We'll see. You guys, you might want to give this a shot. Apparently it works. Anyway, so she's like giving those little bicep pecs. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But I was here first. I'm not leaving this place.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Anyway, so I finally tuned them out. I think a couple drinks helped, and they got a little quieter. They were there for maybe, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes. And he gets up and goes to my right. And right next to me is the bathroom, and then to the right of that is the exit. And I just I see him go, and I figure, oh, he's going to the bathroom. And so I go back to my book, and I look up after a while, and she's still sitting there, and he hasn't come back. And I realize it's been a good 10 or 12 minutes, and he still hasn't come back. And I'm like, that's weird. And I look up again, and it's been like another 5 minutes, and he's still not back. And she's just kind of sitting around looking at stuff. And then she gets up, and she walks over to where the bathroom is, like to the door. And I figure she's going to go to the bathroom because it's like immediately to my right. And she stands next to me, and she stops. And I'm like, all right, that's weird. And
she can have you go check on her boyfriend, make sure he's not dead on the toilet.
Yeah, or something like that, right? And then she looks at me and she goes, "Excuse me," and I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Are you wearing cologne?" And I go, "Yeah, I am. I'm wearing some cologne." And she goes, "I really like it." And I go, "Well, thank you." And she goes, "No, I mean, I love it. It's
what?
No." And she goes, "I mean, I really love it. What kind is it?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a Polo Black." And I was like, "It's not too strong, is it? Like, I don't wear a lot of cologne, but I'm trying to be like, better husband, that kind of thing." And I'm like, "It's not too strong, is it? Is it annoying? I apologize. Was it too much? Because I never know how much to put on." She goes, "No, it's perfect." And I go, "Okay, great." She goes, "No, I mean it. It's perfect. Really, really perfect."
What the fuck?
And I go, "Okay." And she's just standing there looking down at me, and she looks at me awkwardly for about 45 seconds, and I just look up at her, and then she just turns and walks out of the bar.
Okay.
I stayed there for another hour. Neither of them ever came back.
That's really bizarre.
It was a bizarre encounter. I have no idea. I was telling my friend John Mike, and he said that he thinks maybe she was a prostitute, but I didn't get that vibe at all. They seemed to know each other. It didn't seem like a random encounter or like a first date or anything.
Plus, also, normally a prostitute would have left with the dude.
Yeah, I didn't see them.
Happened?
I didn't see them fight. I didn't see there be any disagreement over money or anything like that. It wasn't like the predetermined rate is no longer valid or anything like that. You know, like you don't have your sex coupon, so you're gonna have to pay full price. I didn't get any kind of vibe like that. He just quietly got up, and they seemed to be doing well, and then just never came back. And then she sat there forever, and then came over, and then said those weird things to me, like very slowly and deliberately. Like it's really, really perfect. I'm like, is that a code? I don't like. Maybe people from San Antonio know that. Maybe that's a slang or something.
You should run it by Jason, see what he has to say about the situation.
Fucking creepy though, and bizarre, and those are the two things that have happened to me in the last 2 months.
Well, that would explain why you've been so busy. You're busy going to Portland and San Antonio. That's so weird. I don't think she was a prostitute. I can't imagine.
I can't either.
The scenario that would explain that.
And I've been going through it in my head because it was such a weird moment, such a weird experience from the start to the end, and I just don't fully understand what I was a party to there.
Well, I'm curious to see the comments that people have about this, to see what their explanation would be.
Maybe she was a spy, and she was like a challenge password kind of thing. Like maybe she was trying to give me microfilm.
Yeah. You reply with
I was
some line from Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, right. I was supposed to say I don't know, but. Anyway, it's a fucked up, weird story.
Weird stuff happens to you.
It does.